Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about staying alive. Specifically survival food and storing up survival food for an emergency. In this box is part of the integral part of our plan for survival food. And you're saying, why survival food? The pandemic's almost over, right? Well, the time to think about survival food is not whenever you need it, but before you need it. Right now, we're turning our house and land around it into a homestead by planting a lot more of our own food, and we're gonna get some chickens and stuff like that. But a simpler way to start out with is what I've got here. And these are our top 3 ways to stock up on food for survival, for a pandemic or any type of emergency where the stores can run out of food and you'll have something to survive on. I ordered these from Uline, but I think you can get them from Amazon as well, and if so, I'll put a link below. These are the lids. And these are kind of like those gamma lids that screw on that you see for like food buckets and stuff, food storage buckets, but they're a little bit different. Get up here, and I'll show you how they work. What I have here is 10 buckets and 10 lids, and these are really cool the way they work. These buckets have, hold on, I'll come to you. You just stay there. Much like Ruffles, these buckets have ridges, kind of like a medicine bottle, and they have, my cameraman is telling me to get lower. Anyway, they have these ridges all the way around the bucket. These are food grade buckets. Corresponding to those ridges is this little clip from the lid. It has this red kind of locking device, and I'll show you how whenever you put it on the bucket, it clicks as it goes around, and then there's a neoprene seal up in here. So let me show you the way this works. Just take your bucket, take your lid, so you can really, when it's tight, and so that is now airtight and watertight. And if I want to take it off, what I have to do is push that little red clip in, and that lets it come off nice and easy. So why do I have these? What am I going to put in these? Let me show you what I'm going to be putting in these buckets. We are taking it back old school with this survival food. I'm talking biblical here. In the Bible, it talks about Joseph saving grains for 7 fat years, and he saves them for 7 lean years. So that's what I'm going to talk about first, is grains. And by grains, specifically, I mean unmilled wheat berries. Wheat berries, that's what they're called. I never knew that until my wife started getting into this. And in fact, I'll put a link to her video where she talks more about this on her channel. I'll put a link up here for that. But there's lots of places where you can get unmilled wheat berries. This is like when you buy flour at the store, they've taken the wheat berries. I just love saying wheat berries. I get on these kicks where I say these words over and over again. Anyway, they take the wheat berries. Camera woman, man, please, okay.
Wheat berries.
Wheat berries. They take the wheat berries and then they mill it down, and then that becomes your flour. But it's sifted flour. That's why when you buy white flour, it's totally white. When you take these berries and then you mill them down, it's whole grain, because you've got the hull and everything in there. But that's where all the nutrients come from. That's why this is a survival food. Like I mentioned, you can get the wheat berries from several different places. This particular type is Great River Organic Milling, and these come off of Amazon, and I'll put a link for these as well. What makes these really great is the shipping. The shipping, if you have Amazon Prime, you have free 2-day shipping, because when you order wheat berries online from other companies, the shipping is what kills you. It might say it might cost $40 for a 5-gallon bucket of the wheat berries, but the shipping might cost you $90. So, and that's, in fact, that's how I found these buckets. I'll show you this other type of wheat that we ordered. Let me show you how that came. This bucket of wheat berries came from a company called Breadtopia, breadtopia.com. I think they're in Idaho, I think maybe Iowa, but I think it's Idaho. This is how I found these buckets. As you can see, this uses this same type of bucket. When you buy the unmilled wheat, in the bucket, what's good is it's sealed up. You don't have to worry about bugs being in it or anything. That's the only downside when you order from some place like this and you get them from Amazon. But all you have to do is when you get it in a bag, because you're more likely to have, weevils or something in a bag, is take your bag and put it in the freezer for 4 to 5 days, and that'll kill anything that would have been in there. Let me show you what the unmilled wheat looks like. I think this is actually some of the Great River that we put in a bucket that we got. So just hold the red, squeeze the red clip down and it opens. And here is what it looks like. Oh, the smell, very strong smell.
And that is the hard red wheat.
Hard red, so generally like the basic ones that you'll want to get is hard red and hard white.
And soft white.
And soft white, like I said.
You said hard white.
But what's cool about it is you can actually just cook these up too and like put them in soup and stuff just as they are. So this is the hard, what is this one, Kim?
Hard red.
Hard red.
Our dog ate my notes. I had little notes on here to make it. Excuse me. Okay. My dog ate my little notes, and I only remember that it's hard red because I took a picture of it and I just did it this morning. And this is soft white. He's opening it now. They look different.
Oh yeah, you can tell a difference. Can you see that?
Focus. Focus. Okay, now I can see it.
Okay, yeah, so that's, what is this, hard white?
That is soft white.
Soft white. Kind of looks like Sugar Smacks cereal.
It does, yeah, it does.
What makes unmilled wheat so amazing, such a fantastic survival food? Well, it lasts forever. As long as you keep it dry and away from bugs, it will never go bad. They found wheat in the pyramids in Egypt, and they were able to make bread with it. Now this stuff's thousands of years old, and they were still able to bake bread with it, and still edible, still safe to eat. One other great thing about it for a survival food is that it contains, now not when you buy flour, they call flour like you buy at the store, like dead flour. When you use it and mill it yourself, it contains 44, I think it's 44, of the essential vitamins, minerals, nutrients, carbohydrates, and everything that your body needs to survive. So this is like the original old school survival food. Now, how do you mill flour? Well, there's nothing to it. And I'm not an expert on it or anything. I've just recently learned about this. But my wife got this grain mill. We have an electric one, and then we have this manual one in case there's no power. But it won't come out of the box, so I'm not going to show you it today. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I need my wife to get this out for me. Okay, here we go. And I'll put a link, I'll show her video where she shows how this,
Don't break the packaging.
Super easy. I always thought there was like a process to this, but there's not. You put your wheat berries in, and 30 seconds later, you've got your flour ready to bake. Full of nutrients, and this stuff is like super good for you. It helps like with gut health. We have friends that they kind of switched over to milling their own flour a few years ago, and they saw like huge health improvements in themselves and their children. So definitely number one on the survival food list is wheat berries, unmilled wheat. Number two on our list. What? Just because I said number two? Yeah. This is what I deal with every day. Anyway, number two. Who does number two work for? Legumes. And by legumes, I mean beans and peas. You can go to the store and you can get, you can just stock up every once in a while when you go to the grocery store, grab a few extra bags of Like my favorite is black-eyed peas, and then we got navy beans.
Meatloaf sandwich.
We started out just buying, like every time we went to the grocery store, buying extra bags. But then I went online, and yes, they have these at Amazon. This is Camellia brand, I think that's how you say it. This is 25 pounds that you can order. There's a bunch of places that sell these online. Like I said, I got these from Amazon. The thing that kind of works out is when you buy them from other places, they might be cheaper than they are on Amazon, but the shipping is what kills you. And then I've also got another 25 pounds of field peas. Navy beans, 25 pounds. And then these black-eyed peas, these are 20 pounds. I got 2 boxes of these, so I got 40 pounds of black-eyed peas. And I think they got these from webstaurantstore.com, something like that. When you combine wheat, unmilled wheat that you mill yourself, with beans, especially a variety of beans, basically you get everything your body needs to survive. Now you might get kind of tired of eating it after a while. So if you think you can't live off of just beans and flour, you're mistaken. Because I can tell you from my family's experience that my grandmother, when she was a child, she was dirt poor. And they grew up the way that they ate. What sustained them was biscuits and beans. When she went to school, she would take a biscuit, hollow it out, fill it with beans, and that was what she ate for the day. And she lived to be in her 90s, and so, you know, it might not be your favorite thing to eat, but I happen to like it. Sometimes we do that. We'll eat that for a meal, a lot of times just beans and biscuits, because we happen to like the flavor of it. The trick is to have something like bacon, if you can, to add to it for flavor. But what I want to do is take these beans and peas that I have, and that's one of the reasons why I got these buckets. Because you do want to wash these buckets whenever you get them, because they haven't been washed when you get them. You want to make sure there's no dust or anything in them. So this one, those I just opened, but I did have this one already. And like I can just throw these packs that I already have in here, and you know, if you keep them in these packs, you can keep these also in your freezer if you want to keep bugs away from them, but they take up a lot of freezer space. So I'm going to throw these in a bucket, but what I want to do specifically with this bucket first is not use these in the bag. I'm going to put those in one later, but I want to dump these 2 boxes of black-eyed peas. I want to dump these into this box first. So I probably got about 2/3 of that in there. I can put a little bit more. Put that lid on there. And that's sealed. Again, this will basically last indefinitely as long as I keep moisture and bugs out of it. And as long as I don't open this and leave it open, then I don't have to worry about that.
This is actually a seed too. You could possibly even plant this depending on where you go, you know?
Yeah, I hadn't gotten to that part yet, but that's one thing that's cool. My channel, I mean, geez, lady, I mean, come on. One of the cool things about having beans and wheat berries, I love saying wheat berries, is that not only is it a food, but it's, as Kim stole my thunder there a little bit, it's also a seed. So if you keep enough of these and you have them as your survival food, you can go out and you can plant some of your dried beans and grow more beans, and then from those beans get more beans to eat and dry them out and more beans to plant to grow more beans. It's kind of like Inception. It's crazy the way farming and gardening works. But you can do the same thing with the wheat berries. How do you get wheat? You go plant the wheat berries that you don't mill. So it's a survival food for short term, because that's kind of what we've we're moving towards where really we're not going to use the dead flour anymore. We're going to mill our own flour because there's nothing to it. And then it's so much better for your health and for your body. But you have the benefit of, you have the current benefit of it, you have the survival aspect of it, that it keeps forever, and then you also have the survival aspect of it, that it is a food that can replenish itself by putting it in the ground. Let me get to number 3, which, you know, you probably have guessed what this one is already. Rice. We got this at Sam's. Rice is, you know, another cheap ingredient. Typically an ingredient, but it can become one of your main foods if it needs to be. Again, if you keep a few things that you want to add to it for flavoring and stuff, obviously that makes it better. But it's just a really inexpensive survival food. That's why people in poor countries use it, because it's cheap, it's plentiful, and it has stuff that your body needs. I don't think it's as good for you as the wheat and the beans, but with these 3 things together, you have like a really efficient system for surviving, and a fairly inexpensive one too. When you look at survival food, like survival, you know, these buckets that you get, and there's nothing wrong with this freeze-dried stuff. We actually have a freeze dryer on order, but those things are like way out right now. I think we probably still have like a month and a half to wait before we get ours. We've already been waiting over a month. So there's nothing against, I'm not knocking freeze-dried food. Freeze-dried food is wonderful. It's amazing stuff, especially if you make it yourself. But when you buy the freeze-dried food, you know, it'll tell you, and not to knock this stuff, but it'll tell you how many servings there are, but that's not realistic, just like servings on anything you make are not realistic. If you eat like a bird, yeah, it'll go that far. But the survival foods that come in the buckets, it is really expensive, it doesn't go very far, and it doesn't taste very good. I do want to go back just real quick to like the beans real quick. Depending on where you get your beans, you might pay like $1 per pound up to, if you have to order them, $3 per pound. The main reason that it's advantageous to order them in bulk is because if you go to the grocery store, and hey, maybe you don't care, sometimes I don't care. If you throw a pile of these into your buggy, people are like, what the heck? And then people are like, what's going on that I don't know about? So if you order them in bulk and get them shipped, it's just kind of like nobody knows your business. But so you'll end up paying anywhere from $1 to say $3 a pound for beans. And when we eat beans, we make, like, say, we'll make 2 pounds. But basically 1 pound will feed 7 of us for 1 meal. And like, I mean, I'm not a light eater, I can tell you that. So that works out to, depending on what you pay for it, 14 cents to 42 cents per serving. And, you know, we'll have biscuits with it. So whatever the biscuits work out to, but let's just go crazy and say maybe you end up paying 30 cents to 75 cents per serving. I don't know any other survival food or emergency food that you can get that is that dirt cheap and that good for you. As you know, beans are good for your heart. The more you eat, the better you are. The way that you want to maintain all of these things is, if you get them in a bag, you want to put them in the freezer 4 to 5 days to make sure that there are no bugs in them, no weevils. And you know, if you ever have 2 weevils and you have to pick one, you always choose the lesser of 2 weevils. After you get them out of the freezer, you want to have some type of dry storage that is sealed, like these buckets. I hope this is helpful to you. If so, please like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time.